And this is a godsend for the Glazers. Think about it. They can't be criticised for anything that happens on the pitch anymore. The fans usually kick off as soon as United lose and they forget everything when they're winning. So it's good times for the Glazers because they can't be criticised anymore. And we fans can't go and start calling out the Glazers. The first person that's going to get it in the neck is going to be Ratcliffe. Everyone's going to take the anger out on Ratcliffe if things don't go right on the football pitch. Welcome to the Man United stream. Hope you're doing well. It is Monday morning and we've got lots of news concerning Man United, so we're going to kick off straight away in today's show with the funeral of Bobby Charlton, which is taking place today in Manchester. There'll be lots of footballers, managers attending this funeral. Apart from the Glazers, we're here. The Glazers will not be attending, but everybody else connected to Man United will be there. It will be a very sad day to say farewell to one of football's greatest. He was immaculate. What a player he was. Legend of Man United, legend for England, won the World Cup for England, did so much for United, and we have to thank him. He was ever present there, always in the changing rooms and always up there in the director's box. What a legend he was. So thank you so much, Bobby Charlton, for everything you did for United. Now, before we kick off the rest of the show, please make sure you hit the like button on this video and subscribe if you're new to the Man United stream channel so you can keep up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and opinion. In today's show, we're going to be talking about the takeover, of course we are, and then we're going to be talking about a new sporting director. Who is going to be the new sporting director of United, and when is he going to be coming in? Also, we're going to talk about the investment going into United from the takeover from Ratcliffe. Where is that money going to be spent? We've got some further details, news reports on where that investment is going to be spent. So let's kick off today's show with the news coming out from David Ornstein of The Athletic, and he has confirmed that 25% ownership by Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to be announced this week. So it seems like a done deal. We still get the odd report here and there from random sources saying Sheikh Yassim is still within the process and he's still going to buy United. But I feel really sorry for those type of people because they need to accept that boat has sailed. We cannot go back to that stage now. Sheikh Yassim has left the process. Get that into your head. Now, we cannot cry over spilt milk. It's happened. We need to accept that, and now we need to look ahead and see how can we get the club out of the clutches of the Glazers. And the only hope we have, and I said this in yesterday's show, is that of Sir Jim Ratcliffe. He's the only one. He's taking 25%. We might not be happy with it. I certainly am not happy with it. I'm not happy the fact that he's letting the Glazers sit there and still make the decisions. I'm really not happy. I'm not happy that he's given them a get out clause. And realistically, I would have loved if he came in and said, right, I'm taking over 100% of the club. But from what we've heard, it's not due to the lack of appetite from Sir Jim Ratcliffe wanting to buy 100% of United. It's in fact the Glazers who are refusing to sell out and leave. And that was the problem with Sheikh Yassim. Sheikh Yassim found out very early on that the Glazers do not want to sell the club in its entirety. They want to stay on in whatever capacity at the club, and they might be interested in selling a proportion of United like they're doing with Ratcliffe. That's what they wanted from day one, and that's what they're getting now with Ratcliffe taking that 25%. The Glazers will remain in overall control of the club, and that is what Ornstein in his report did say. He said that Sir Jim Ratcliffe will be taking 25% of the club and he will then take over all footballing matters. But what that means, we're not quite sure. What we are being told is that Joel Glazer will make up a team of people who will have direct control over the footballing matters. Now that makes no sense to me. Glazers already own United. They already control all the commercial side of things, or that's what now they're going to be proposing that they'll be doing. And Joel Glazer will still sit on the footballing side and overlook everything that Ratcliffe is doing. So how is that control over footballing matters? I think it's just a joke. I don't think that's true. I think Ratcliffe is getting some kind of say, but he's only getting a seat at the table. He's not getting the power to make overall decisions and do what he feels like is best for United. He has to still pass it through the Glazers, and the Glazers still remain in control of everything, whether it's in footballing terms or whether it's on commercial terms, and that's what I feel it is. I might be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope the finer details of the paperwork says completely different. I hope the contracts are completely different, but that's what I feel like is coming out right now. If you read between the lines of the report by David Ornstein, you can see that Joel Glazer, in fact, is still the man in charge. Let us know what you think as United fans of this whole setup. Do you think this is a good thing coming up, or do you think it's just another way of covering up what has already been going on with the Glazers? And do you think it just gives the Glazers a get out clause? I think it does. I think this is the perfect excuse for the Glazers. Now they've got a smokescreen between them and the fans, because everything will get blamed on Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the face of United he'll become, and the Glazers will sit there behind the scenes but control everything, and they've got a scapegoat in Ratcliffe. Now Jim Ratcliffe is putting down £1.5 billion of his own money into United, but he has got the Glazers as his partners. Now, I would not trust the Glazers one bit. I mean, how could he jump into bed with these guys who've screwed the club over for such a long time? And will they now change their direction? No, of course they wouldn't. Of course they will stick to what they've already been doing, which is all about taking money out of the club. They were in a desperate need of some investment, and that's where Ratcliffe walked straight into their trap, and now they've got that £1.5 billion pledged from Ratcliffe. Now we United fans all know that the Glazers don't really care what will happen on football in terms to United. They don't really care. They've never been interested in that side of things. All they really care about is the commercial side of United, and that's why I can see this division that's being created between the two, where they're saying, right, you can take 25% of the club and you can run all the football inside of things, and we will do the commercial side, but we will overlook you. We will make sure that you stay in check even with the football inside, and Joel Glazer will sit there making sure that you do not do anything that affects the Glazers. And this is a godsend for the Glazers. Think about it. They can't be criticised for anything that happens on the pitch anymore. The fans usually kick off as soon as United lose, and they forget everything when they're winning. So it's good times for the Glazers because they can't be criticised anymore. And we fans can't go and start calling out the Glazers. The first person that's going to get it in the neck is going to be Ratcliffe. Everyone's going to take the anger out on Ratcliffe if things don't go right on the football pitch. But like we said, we'd love to hear from all United fans. What do you think about this setup? The first initial signs that are coming out, the first initial reports on this setup, do you think it could be something that could work, or do you think it's an absolute no-no? Now, connected to this takeover, we're hearing that the first thing that Ratcliffe and his team at Ineos will do is appoint a sporting director. Now, we first heard the name of Paul Mitchell being mentioned coming in as a sporting director. Now, that's quickly been squashed, and we're actually hearing now that Dougie Freedman, who's actually a sporting director at Crystal Palace, might be joining Man United. Now, what do you think about Dougie Freedman? Now, we must admit we don't know anything about Dougie Freedman, so we cannot sit here and say he's good or bad. He might be really good, he might be really bad, but it's a good sign because we have been missing a sporting director, and we do need somebody in there. Whether Dougie Freedman is the right choice, we're not quite sure. We're going to have to do some more digging around with this guy and see whether he's actually good enough to be joining United as a sporting director, or whether we should be looking elsewhere. Now, we all know that with this 25% takeover, Ratcliffe will also be pledging a huge amount of money to United. Now, what we're hearing is that the bulk of that money will be spent on improving Carrington, not Old Trafford. Some of that money will be spent on making superficial updates to the stadium, but overall the stadium will not be touched in any way. Really, it's just going to be superficial things that they're going to do, improve a few things, make sure cosmetically it looks better, of course, fix that leaking roof that a lot of people have been complaining about. But other than that, they're not really going to touch anything on Old Trafford. They're going to leave that as it is, and they're going to first go and improve the training facilities at Carrington. Now, we've heard from sources that the improvements and updates to Carrington actually fit in line with what Ratcliffe wants to do with United. He wants to improve the academy structure, he wants to bring in young players, he wants to improve that whole side of things, and I think that is why he's concentrating firstly on getting the academy and the training facilities sorted, and then he'll move on to Old Trafford. I think that's a very good decision. You can see some of the decisions that he is making are very, very sensible. It's common sense, and he's bringing that to the table. So far, under the Glazers, 18 years we've had where there's been no common sense and no footballing knowledge brought to the table. But that is it for today's show. Make sure you hit the like button on this video. Make sure you subscribe. You were watching the Man United Stream channel, a channel by the fans for the fans.